So the sheriff has been held back for at least 7 days. Oh, sorry, no, because today is Thursday, only until next Tuesday, so for 5 days. So the sheriff has been held back for 5 days, but no matter what, I have to move out. I'm using the rent money to pay this, but I'm tapped out and I need to have enough money to hold my family responsible. So that means I got to go down to Mass, Wells, into Ogunquit, and I got to go down to Florida. That's my main concern, is getting better. And we know I'm not going to get better unless I have 10 more years of injuries in one location and stop getting pushed off the grid. But that's not going to happen. Or I work with my family to get them to take responsibility for what they were part of. Now, I didn't make any of these choices. I didn't make choices like that. When I went to my doctor, I would ask them for stuff for like sleep and anxiety. Meanwhile, my mother had 101 stories to tell them. I didn't make them do that. They're the ones who cut off doctors. They're the ones who destroyed my body to the point where my work can see my disabilities. They're the ones who destroyed my body to a point that the shelters can see my disabilities at 19, 20 years old. They knew this when I was 20 and I was going into a halfway house, and the halfway house asked me if I could get up at 6 in the morning, and I said yes, but there will be problems due to the medication. But when I came off the medication and I looked back on my real medical history, it was always there. It doesn't matter if I'm medication or not, the medication just makes it worse, especially in the mornings. And as time goes by for 25 years, oh boy, is it getting fucking worse. Used to be like every 4 years a seizure, then three, then two. Now it's like if I don't take my Triliptal, I'm fucked. And that's not even like that. That's just a stopgap measure. That's not even the. That's just the epilepsy medication for now. So yeah, it's fucked up. It's fucked up. So I'm guaranteed to die. So I gotta have enough money to hold them responsible at the same time as keep doing what I'm doing. Go to the doctors, talk to Social Security, talk to the federal government, talk to the state, continue trying to get help. All I need to do is clear out all the bullshit that my mother and father put on my old Social Security record, clear out what they put on my medical records, and then have them write in and look around for records that actually are good to use, that are actually accurate. That way we can clear out any fraud or deception on my medical records, because it's just a snowball going downhill. There's going to be more and more false statements as time goes by, because if doctors are already in fantasy land before they even meet me, there's no way I'm going to even get anything on my record accurate. Because we already have the doctor who's never met me reading a whole version of Zach. And then I walk in and tell him a different version of Zach. And now he has two versions of Zach. One the patient is showing him and telling him about. And then he has 15, 20 years of parents signing off on bullshit, and a bunch while he was living homeless, going in and out of detoxes in hospitals. At that point, he was saying he was suicidal because he was dying in the woods, freezing to death. And they would ask him, why don't you go to a shelter? And I told them, I can't. And then they would call the shelter, and they said that he could. But then the shelter would, when I went down, I can't. But then they said, no, no, we let disabled people in here. But then I go in, and then I can't. And then nobody understands what's going on. So they chalk it up to, I just want to live in the woods during winter, freezing to death. Nobody wants to fucking freeze to death, you fucking morons. It's my mother and father's lies that are confusing you. I know it's confusing. It's 25 years late. I know. I should have been handled at age 7, should have been handled at age 12. But guess what? My mother and father were too busy covering up their crimes. My father had no idea he was even fucking doing it. My father thought he was just doing something he didn't want to do. My father was like, "Oh, I don't want to move to Texas. Fuck." What he doesn't know is my mother's moving to Texas because she knows something is coming. And if we did stay in Westford, oh my God, yeah, things would have ended up very differently. Better for me, worse for Patricia, and my father would have got a rude awakening about his wife. Instead, moving to Texas was able to destroy me and make my life worse but definitely improved theirs. But then, once when Texas started trying to help me, or when I started to finally go to school in Texas, my mother got in fights with those teachers. She didn't agree with those doctors, so she made up a big story about attachment disorder, found a program that wasn't fully built yet. It was still looking for funding. It was a fake it till you make it type business. And she threw me up there. They didn't even have the proper funding to have staff, so they're pulling people up, night staff, that are hurting children. They also they're not replacing the food on time, and apparently they're screaming at the staff when the fridge breaks down, so they don't even want to call, so they're literally poisoning the children a couple times on accident where they get horribly sick. Not only that, they're choking out the one staff member is choking out girls with their own arms in the shower, choking out boys, any of the kids under age 10 years old he was abusing. And did they have any education there? For the first 3 months, there was a teacher, but she soon realized it was impossible with the way that they set that place up. So she left and apologized to the kids after 3 months. She said it was too much of a commute. But the staff members who were yelling or arguing said it was because of money. But either way, we lost our teacher. So 9 to 12 months went by before we ever had a teacher again. Now, there was somebody who came by to write up paperwork with me. She had some computer and she had me touch the screen. And she did this for one appointment a week or two appointments a week for just 4 weeks. But I was the only one that met with them. And it's not like I got any lesson plans. It looked like she was trying to figure out where I was at. And then she tried to teach me some basic shape stuff. And it was pretty easy stuff. It wasn't anything crazy. But then she left. And that was just for me. And then we had a bald guy at the end. But I missed out on way more because the whole time, you can't just switch a kid around like that. So the whole time, 18 months, no education. None of that can be used at another school in my next grade. None of that is any use for the next grade. It will not help me. And then, okay, where do I go from there? Finally to a school. I finally get an education, right? We're going to go from New Mexico straight to school, right back and enroll me in Texas, right? Because I went from Texas, public school, to New Mexico. Now I'll go right back into the school who knows me, right? No, no, no. They're going to have me live in Maine and homeschool me.